What up, what up? Aaron back here. I'm going to do some recapping of this Friday Night Smackdown. So here we go. Let's go for it. First off, John Cena coming back. And I know that he's, considered the GOAT, and he's always a welcomed guest when he's coming back. So it's always a big show, and no matter where he is, the crowd goes lit. And so it's nice that he comes back and still does stuff, even though he's been more into the bigger Hollywood roles and whatnot. So it's cool that he still, respects where he comes from and comes back and gives it to the fans. But I just, before I go any further, I just always want to keep saying I'm only speaking of the characters, not the actual wrestlers themselves. If I'm about to bash somebody or whatever, just so we know. But are we looking at a Grayson Waller and Austin Theory tag team? I kind of was. I wasn't really sure because I kind of both saw them as solo people, but now the past couple weeks, especially since they've been stepping up, you know, they won over, Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar. That's not really an easy feat to do. So, I mean, I wonder if this is going to progress them into an actual tag team partnership as opposed to just like a couple one-off here and again, because I honestly would look forward to that because they did make a good tag team. Anybody that can take down Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar, you got something going on for you, and that's a lot to be said. Freaking Bobby Lashley, one of my all-time favorites, coming out like a Dragon Ball Z villain with that music, dude. I couldn't place it. I'm always seeing, when he's coming out and I get all pumped and I'm all hyped and I'm like, dun, 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 and I'm like, what does this remind me of? Yeah, man, he reminds me of like a Dragon Ball Z villain coming out. It's like freaking Frieza or Cell, just like, all right, what's up? But it's Bobby Lashley, man. And I dig him, dude. And, you got to love that. And him reuniting with the Street Profits, that's freaking, and like I've said, but the Street Profits, I wasn't the biggest fan, but they're coming in and they're really taking it seriously. And we're seeing this rebirth of their personalities and all that. And they're really coming and taking it very seriously and just crushing the people that they're against. And it's like Bobby Lashley said, real recognizes real. And that's exactly what's going on, because I think anybody to really team up with Bobby Lashley in this type of match and stuff like that, you've really got to bring your A game. And I think that even though, yeah, no doubt the Street Profits still like having a great time and everything, they're not all about the party anymore. They're coming in and they're really, he's really molding them into something to really be threatened with. I mean, I want to just go on record and say, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, maybe, look out, and that's with respect to say, Sammy and KO. Speaking of them, they went against the LWO and came out on top, and that's because they're solid. They, even though they had that little break for a while, but they've known each other forever. They've been friends forever, and they know how each other rolls. And I know the LWO does too. I think that Sammy and Kevin just really have more of that fierce, like the ferocity, not necessarily the drive, because I think the LWO has a lot of drive and a lot of heart and spirit. But but Sammy and KO, Sammy Zayn and KO, they're just knuckle cracking and ready to go, man. And speaking of other changes, people coming in and just being a whole new person. Let's talk about Shotzi. Shotzi and Bayley went at it, and Shotzi is on a whole new level after that haircut, man. I'm digging the spikes that she's doing, and it's very punk rock, and she's just a threat now, and she's got that like kind of psychotic, doesn't really care attitude, and I'm digging it, and I'm really looking forward to see where she's coming, because she wasn't really on my radar for a while, and she hasn't been, she's not like every week, so it's kind of, sometimes it's few and far between when you see her, so she wasn't really on my radar, but now I'm seeing her, and I dig her, man. I can't wait to see where she's going with this. And then the fact, we had the queen herself, Charlotte Flair, come down and take her revenge on EO and Damage Control specifically. It was nuts, and I loved that. And anytime that Charlotte Flair is ready, to come in and just break bones like, she can do. And especially with her and Shotzi being there together. I mean, that was a nice little surprise duo and everything. So I look forward to that. And then, like I said, Charlotte Flair is it's always a pleasure to see her, and we'll look forward to see where we're going next. Um, but let's talk about that main event: AJ Styles versus Solo Sikoa. We all know Solo Sikoa is a beast. We know AJ Styles is a beast in his own right, and so it obviously was a match I was looking forward to. I'm a big AJ Styles fan, and I respect Solo. I'm not really a big fan of the bloodline and that kind of thing, but I used to be a diehard, and pretty much after Sami Zayn left, I've kind of let it fizzle, and I'm cool with it fizzling out. But you got to give it to Solo Sikoa for keeping it real, and he just goes at it and he just puts his all into it, and he did end up coming out on top, but not because AJ Styles wasn't giving it his all as well. I mean, he's a fighter through and through, and him and the OC, they get it done. It's great, and you just love seeing it. And the only thing that made me really mad was then Jimmy Uso comes out to mess with AJ Styles during the freaking match, I guess trying to buy his way back into the bloodline or whatever, but it ruined the match for AJ Styles because AJ Styles had that shit. And it's not a lot of people can say they have it when you're going up against Solo Sikoa, but AJ Styles is one of those guys that absolutely can, and I think had Jimmy Uso not messed it up, I really think that AJ Styles would have come out on top, and it's rare that we see Solo Sikoa lose. So I definitely think that the writing was kind of like, I don't know if we should have him lose, but I mean, if anybody can do it, I really think that AJ Styles could do it. So I'd like to see a rematch of that going on and have it, really happening and no interruptions, maybe a steel cage match. I'm just throwing it out to the universe and seeing who's listening. But so then after all that, Solo Sikoa was about to spike Jimmy Uso, and Paul Heyman called it, said not to do it, and then it was just awkward, kind of. They all leave, and then at the very end, he call Roman Reigns like he always does. But it brought up a good question: is Jimmy Uso trying to go back to the bloodline? Is he even able to go back to the bloodline? And if Roman Reigns was willing to entertain the idea, what would he have to do to go back? Because he has literally fought every single person that was in the bloodline. It's been a very long road, and it would be, I assume, a very long road to redemption back in the eyes of Roman Reigns. Now, granted, I think Roman Reigns has got talent. I think he's got a lot of things that you need to be a great wrestler, but I also think he's, maybe it's time to give somebody else the crown. Maybe somebody else should beat him. I don't know. I kind of thought that was going to be Jimmy or Jey Uso at one point, but now I don't even know. What's going on with this thing? What's going on with the bloodline? Is it dead? Is it back? Is it, are they, no pun intended, pumping some blood back into it? I don't know, man. I guess we'll see. Next week, maybe something crazy will happen at SummerSlam. I don't know. We'll see the whole thing because I'm very excited to see the results of SummerSlam and see if any of my predictions were right. But until then, I will be watching and waiting, and I will be back with another something for you guys whenever I can. Take it easy.